Hi, how you doing? John here with Midwest Club Connection, and we got a special treat for you tonight. Something I didn't think I'd ever get a chance to do. Talk to JJ French from Twisted Sister. We're at the House of Blues in Chicago, one of the nicest places that I've been to see a concert, certainly in Chicagoland anyway. And we're going to do 10 questions with him tonight. And thank you very much for taking the time to do this. Give a few seconds for him to cut that. You're still doing some focus in there. Let me know.
Go ahead.
All right. I want to thank you first for the reunion tour, because back in the 80s when I was a Twisted Sister fan, for some reason, I never saw Twisted Sister in their prime, and to this day I can't figure out why. And we were talking, Terry and I, we couldn't, either you didn't tour that much, or the places you were at, we didn't find out. Do you remember anything about Chicago back in the day?
Yeah, well, we played at the Rosemont Horizon.
That was my
Right?
that was my guess to
with
Rosemont.
the
Yeah.
Maiden in 83, 84. We came through. I mean, we toured a lot back and forth. I don't know how many times we hit Chicago, but we crisscrossed the country a lot.
I figured a certainly Stay Hungry area you had to have.
Yeah, before that, even Can't Stop Rock and Roll, I believe we hit smaller venues before that. Then we came back again for Come Out and Play. So I don't remember how many times.
Yeah. Did you headline after the Stay Hungry tour?
Yeah, we did. I headlined during Come Out and Play.
Yes.
Also headline, we headline in and out of the Stay Hungry tour. Like we either were special guesting or headline, and then going back and forth, because in those days the tours, they went on and on and on and on. So you jumped with someone for 2 months, then went 3 months with someone else, then 2 months with someone else, and 4 months with someone else.
Keep going.
You kept going. Yeah, we went, I think, 16 months on that tour.
They just keep hooking you up. Did you have any say in it at that point, or was it just say keep
Oh
me
no,
going, man?
no, we did. I mean, we always controlled our own destiny. You know, we came from a bar scene where we played for 12 years before we made it. So the band was a hardened performance
by that point.
machine. We had done, we had done at that point when Stay Hungry broke, we'd already played over 2,500 nights of music in our history, and if you add in all the amount of sets in the early days, we were probably into our 8,000th performance.
Wow.
So we ended up at about 9,000 shows all in at the end of 15 years. So probably during the point where the world started to know who we were at the 7,500 mark.
Wow.
At that point, you just go do it.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a routine.
in the earliest days when the band started, we played this one bar 105 nights in a row. I'll never forget that, 4 shows a night. That's how it started.
What? They don't do that at all
No, they
anymore.
don't do that anymore. And so, if you think about that thing, just that alone, 105 nights, 4 shows
Wow,
a
that's
night.
incredible.
You're talking four. You walked out with 450 shows under your belt over
Right,
3
yeah.
months. Over 3 months. So it was that learning experience is why we're here 16 years later without missing a beat.
Yeah.
Because when you do something 9,000 times, either you know how to do it or you really suck.
9,000 times.
So,
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm in a little cover band. We practice once a week, and if I don't practice once a week, I can't remember what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being as tight as somebody playing that many times.
yeah.
Autopilot, man.
Well, I think it's interesting now is that we're only playing about 14 shows in this quote world tour of ours, and we only have 2 left.
Oh, really?
They're almost all done in Europe at headlining festivals, and
yeah.
all of a sudden you are asked to headline the biggest festivals after being dormant for 16
right.
years. It's not like you're asked to be somewhere at the bottom of the festival.
Yeah.
You're asked to have your
headline
name on
it.
the marquee, and you're asked to perform at a level that their memory of the legend is.
Yep.
Now, it's a bit intimidating to do that, and we knew this going in,
Never
so
thought
what
of
we
that.
did was we contacted the USO and said, can we do some shows for you guys, like in a far remote country, so that if we
Somewhere nobody
suck,
speaks English.
nobody, there was 3 criteria. 15,000 miles away, a captive audience, and under threat of death from a commander, they had to clap.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
nobody would find out. So they sent us to Korea.
Really?
And we played Korea.
You didn't promote it. In other words, it was.
Well,
more-
it's the USO
Just
thing.
the USO.
Oh yeah, you can't. USO shows are
They're
proprietary
tight, huh?
shows
Yeah.
for the Army. And we went over there and we did 3 shows.
Wow.
And it was tremendous, and the response was tremendous. And we realized then, when we came home, that this was going to work.
Yeah,
You
this
know,
is gonna
that
work.
all of a sudden all the pieces fell together very
Yeah.
quickly. And the next thing we did was go in front of 30,000 people in Sweden and headline the biggest Swedish rock festival. So talk about being thrown into
Yeah,
the fire
I can't
at
imagine
that
that.
level without having played in 16 years.
That's amazing. Well, that shows you how tight you guys were then, because I
Yeah.
doubt there's many bands that would be willing to do that.
I don't think there's anybody
No.
who could come from that level.
Yeah.
Who would do that? Not to say, incidentally, that with enough prep time, many of them could
Right.
get back to that level. I don't mean that.
Right.
I don't think though you can go from 0 to 60 that fast.
You guys were planning it for 3 years. I mean,
know.
it was more of a let's go do this kind of thing.
Well, actually, no.
No? You
No, we planned it for about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Honestly,
3 weeks.
the band had not. The band wasn't together. The band ended,
Yeah.
and then we got together solely to. Well, actually, Behind the Music did that incredible Behind the Music on Twisted, in which we
That
showed
was
how much
cool.
we hated each other's
Yeah, right.
guts, which almost led to the fact that we would never play again.
Yeah, right.
But then
Bring it all up
times
again.
were being what they were. About a month after that show debuted at VH1, unfortunately, the disaster
Yeah.
struck at the World Trade Center, and as a
Wake-up
as
call,
as a bunch of New Yorkers, I went down to the Javits Center, and offered my to volunteer for anything.
Yeah,
I mean, the
right.
day after it happened,
Yeah.
and there was 30,000 people down there, and I walked up to a National Guardsman. I said, "Listen, I'll stand on this line for hours. Just tell me I can do something." And he said, "Well, are you? Do you do construction? No. Do you do ironwork? No. Are you a paramedic? No. Are you a lawyer? No. Are you this? No." He kept saying no. He said, "Well, you know what?
What do you-
It's great you're here, but I don't think they're going to use you." And I remember walking down 11th Avenue, thinking, "Man, I'm just a useless SOB."
Yeah.
And then I went, "Wait a minute. I
Wait
have
a
a
minute.
band. If I can convince these guys to do it," and I made a phone call, and everyone, to a man, said when, where, how.
Yep.
And then we got together. We did a benefit with stage clothes on, not with stage clothes, rather with t-shirts.
Just
and
regular. Yeah, I
jeans.
remember seeing photos of that. That looked cool.
New York Steel raised $100,000 with Sebastian, who we're playing with tonight, and Ace Frehley and Overkill and
that's right,
Anthrax.
Overkill.
Raised $100,000 for the Widows and Orphans Fund for the New York City Police and Fire Department. And we realized the reaction was so unbelievable that we knew we could pull it off at
Yeah.
that point. But then the question became logistics. We still didn't think we were going to get together. And then we discussed the possibility last winter, about now, when a couple of promoters in Europe offered us enough money for us to consider being able to pull it off financially, because
Yep.
you need to be able to justify the amount of time you're taking out of your
Yeah,
lives of
and
your
family,
families
the cost
and
in
everything
your
else.
family.
Right. So that happened, and then we said, okay, if we can get the USO to cover us basically for rehearsals and tryouts,
Yeah.
and play for the troops at the same
Yeah,
time,
exactly. It's not
right
like
after
it's a
the
bummer.
Iraq thing.
Yeah.
No, so you get all the extra bonus
Yeah.
of being able to go to Korea, play for the troops, which was an absolutely
I would think they would eat
unbelievable
that
experience.
up,
They
man.
did. They went crazy. So all in all, it's been very fortuitous. However, it's been tiring because
Yeah.
the tour basically went like this: you flew to Korea, you flew back, then 3 weeks later, you flew to Sweden on a Thursday. You recovered on a Friday. You played on a Saturday. You flew back on a Sunday. Then 3 weeks after that, we flew back to Switzerland and Germany and did 2 one-nighters. Then we flew home.
Man.
Then 3 weeks later, we flew back to Germany because we did such an outrageous job at this one festival. They hired us for another one. So now we flew back again for a one-nighter
Wow.
and then flew home. And then we flew to Spain for a one-nighter and then flew home. And
Man.
when we played Spain, it was a Spanish festival. They don't go on until 1:45 in the morning. We were up at 11 a.m. the previous day, so we'd been up basically 18 hours by the time we got on stage.
Yeah.
Everybody was wrecked.
I bet.
Flew home. Then flew to Puerto Rico 2 weeks later, did a show, a big festival in
I
Puerto
didn't know you
Rico.
did that many
And then back, and now these 5 dates here, which is this ends it. This is it.
That's it. That was one of my questions. This will probably be my last chance
This
to see the
more
real
this
deal.
possibly could be it. Yeah.